You have heard me say time and time again, the foster care system is broken. This past May, Dr. Frank Lawless and I were invited to Washington, D.C., where we addressed members of the House of Representatives about this very issue. Take a look.
I want to welcome you to this briefing of the Congressional Caucus on Foster Youth. I want to thank Dr. Phil and Dr. Lawless for taking the time to meet with members of Congress to discuss this critical issue.
Dr. Phil has provided such valuable testimony to our Human Resources Subcommittee over on Ways and Means.
We watch your program and you go through such a dynamic situation with families.
Dr. McGraw, your comments to try to get ahead of this game, I thought were particularly cogent, and they really resonated in my own heart.
Families in America are under attack. They're under attack from drugs. We're specifically talking about heroin, morphine, codeine, hydrocodone. If we are discussing a parent that is addicted to an opioid, we have to make a decision. Do we take that child away and incarcerate that mother for using a drug illegally, or is there an alternative to try and rehabilitate that mother and keep this family unified? You go with those people right there to give this baby the best possible chance it has and give you the chance to get your life back. In the 40-plus years that I have been involved in the mental health profession, keeping the family unified should be the absolute #1 objective in everything that we consider legislatively. To take a child away from that parent and place that child in foster care should be the last and bad alternative, because it does nothing but put two people in the system with no path towards reunification. My goal is to keep them out of the system to begin with, and if they're in the system, to have a path to get them out of the system. If we don't recognize that there is a clear link between drug abuse and child welfare, then we just simply aren't acknowledging what's going on here.
Thank you very much for what you do and for contributing to our debate here on the Hill today. Thank you.
Well, my next guest is working to change all of that. She is the founder of the Congressional Caucus on Foster Youth, aimed to protect the welfare of all children in foster care. Her mission is to advocate for and overhaul our nation's foster care system. Representing the 37th Congressional District of California, please welcome Congressmember Karen Bass. How are you? Good to see you again. Have a seat.
Thank you.
Why is this so important to you?
Well, I just think that given our country and given our society, there is nothing more important than protecting children. And we have no excuse, because we have the knowledge now, we have the science. And the system was put together at a time when we really didn't know how best to treat families.
There were things we just didn't know chemically, psychologically, and otherwise that we do know now, but we're not reacting to it.
Exactly. I mean, I think in the past we viewed parents that had problems as being bad. And in a way we were punishing them. But the only way we could access the dollars that we needed to take care of the child was to take the child away from the family.
Yeah, and so what you're trying to do is pass legislation so states can use federal funds to prevent removal of the children, correct?
Right, so that they can use the money flexibly. So in other words, if you know that a parent has a substance abuse issue, why don't you treat the issue? If it's mental health, why don't you use federal dollars for that? And in the end, it's much cheaper than to put a child in the foster care system where they might wind up their entire childhood. And what happens an awful lot, as you know, what's the next system they go to? The criminal justice system.
Exactly.
The parents who don't get better, the kids who we essentially kick to the curb when they're 18, and then they wind up homeless, they wind up on drugs, and many of them wind up incarcerated.
Right now, the money's earmarked where it only can go to use if we put them in the foster care system. That's the problem, right?
Absolutely, which is far more expensive. If you keep them together, you can address all the problems in a holistic manner.
There was something all of you at home can do to help Congressmember Bass pass the legislature needed to help children and families. So there is an organization called the National Foster Youth Institute which is designed to get you involved. And if you want to help change the system, I want you to go to nfyi.org and click on Take Action. And Congress does pay attention to emails and phone calls,
That's
so
right.
make your voice heard for the children that don't have a voice. You know, sometimes you'll sit home and think, you know, I want to make a difference in this world. I don't have the kind of money to make big contributions to charities or whatever, but you can make a difference by being heard, by getting in touch with your congressman, with your representative.